Morning, everybody. Michelle is here. Hope everybody's doing fantastic, magnificent, and wonderful because I am. Anyway, just finished outside, doing some work outside, and of course, it's humid out there. It's extremely humid, and I think there's some type of storm out, in the near the Caribbean islands, which is expected this time of year. And of course it also is expected to be intensified as well, and a whole lot of weather events unlike anything we've ever seen, right? How simple tasks that we may have enjoyed in the past, like fishing, boating, playing golf, playing tennis, any kind of outdoor events are becoming extremely dangerous, because how people would play, they'll hear a thunderstorm, off in the distance, and they'll disregard it and everything will be fine. But we've always been told that if you can hear a thunderstorm or the sounds of a thunderstorm, that means that, I mean, anything can happen quickly. And before you know it, there's a thunderstorm, there's lightning, there's hail, there's flooding, blah, blah, blah. And so, and if everybody's being honest, we know that has intensified, especially on this particular region of the world. It's intensifying. And, it's all because of, the changing of the climates, the changing of, the structure of the planet, the infrastructure, everything's changing, right before our eyes. Some things are changing where as, like I said, you wake up one morning and you feel like you're in another reality. So, I say all this to say, a change has been coming and a change will continue to come. What I mean is by the climate, the atmosphere, the environment, the infrastructure. And a lot of us are going to still operate on business as usual, thinking, oh, it's not going to affect me. Oh, I'm safe. Oh, I can handle this. And we're giving too much credit to our so-called intellect, our so-called knowledge. And nobody wants to refresh and go back and refresh their knowledge on anything. Nobody wants to do that. And that's obvious. Okay. They want to rely so much on their memories. They want to rely so much on their so-called, the personality that they've, or the ego that they've created, and they see no flaws in their ego at all. A lot of people are that way, So when I go out in nature, I can obviously sense that there's a difference than what I was a young child versus now. Now, is my memory flawed? Okay, it could be. But I can tell that there is a difference. And if you're an outdoor person and you're honest with yourself, you can tell it as well. You know. You can see something different about the plants, the cloud, the ground, the flowers, how the critters are acting, what type of critters seem to show up, no, regardless, like ants. What is it with ants? Oh my goodness, what is it with the ants, right? And how they're operating. And they're all over my yard, but they're harmless. I got them all in my yard. From the flea looking one, the flea sized ones, to the fire ants. And like I said, they don't bother me because I don't bother them. I just leave them alone. And the way the butterflies react. Every now and then I can capture them, but they don't like to be bothered. You can tell that is that there's a sense of something going on. I can tell by the birds how they're chirping all through the night usually, which is unheard of. Something's affecting their sound. And that's what's bringing me to this conversation right now. It's about sound and how important it is to stay in touch with what you're hearing. Okay? And stay in touch with what you are saying as well. The energy in your voice, the sound of your voice, the way you are talking to people, and understand the power and the damage your words can cause other people. I know we like to always focus on how we are physically treated, and that's important. The physical is, you can see it, in most cases. It's like evidence. If someone has bruising, if someone has issues with their limb and blah blah blah. So in other words, you can see that this person was physically harmed. But unfortunately, with words, sometimes those wounds are invisible to other parties of people. They don't know how much words can cause so much more damage to people than the physical harm. Harm is harm, but the words that come out of people's mouths, and the damage that can cause to, someone's psyche, their consciousness, their development, their personalities. And a lot of it, if people are honest, some of it can start in childbirth. When you developing a child inside of you. Okay. Right? Because that child inside of you is attached to you, for the women. Some of the things you could be doing and eating affects your child inside of you, right? That's obvious. I don't have to have had a child to not know that, right? Isn't that logical? And then, of course, once you have the child and you put them in a certain environment, they're picking up everything. I'm telling you, when I can remember so many things about my childhood when I was extremely young. And I remember one time when I was with my parents, and we had gone to this old beat up house. It was an old beat up house, and it belonged to the family. And I can remember walking in there, and I'm like, wait a second, I remember this. I was just like shocked that I could remember this house. And then I remember my dad said, no, you don't remember this. You was just a blah, 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 blah. And I have a picture of it, the house that I was in, because I was in the house with my dad, and he had me in his lap. I have that on my page somewhere. And I was like 6 months old. And I'm telling you, I remember being in that house. I remember lots of things about it. And I'm not going to say any more about it because it's irrelevant. But I remember talking to my dad about it when we went in the house. I said, Dad, I remember this house. I remember it. Da, 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 da. He says, you were too young. You were too young. I was like, no. And I was able to point out certain things. I remember certain things. Anyway, I think I put it in a video too about how I can remember, blah, 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 blah. So you just never know what an environment can have on an individual and how it can do harm or damage to an individual's development. And I can guarantee a lot of people that's where a lot of stuff happened in the areas of our lives that people didn't think we would remember or that we wouldn't have experienced. Okay, no. We experienced it all. Okay, from conception, is that the right word? Yeah. Into birth, until beyond. We experience all of that. Okay, the good, the bad, the ugly. I can remember like I said, if I just sit here and think about certain things in my childhood, I can remember it. And thankfully, what's good about why my memory is good is we stayed in the same house from birth until I moved out. Now, if you moved around a lot, you may not remember certain things. But the reason I can remember everything about the house I grew up in is because our energy is in that house. All of our energy is going to stay in that house for quite a while. Once you go into a house, there's energy of the people that were there. And my parents went in that house with us, and they left out of that house. So So, so you never know what type of experience someone has experienced, because we all have different experiences. But experiences are what we need nonetheless. And we cannot just assume that people, because somebody's not paying attention to your behavior, that's not affecting your children's behavior or the people in your circle. Okay, because that's a lie. And that's delusion, I should say. If you do not accept that your behavior and your actions affects the people around you, just like I said, with the energy of your thoughts that affects the whole planet. Okay, so that's why you have to know who your circle of friends are, or who is in your circle. And it's best you can know who their circle of friends are. And if you have too big of a circle of people around you, I would say bring that down to maybe a handful, and have one particular person in your ear. It could be your partner, the person you're in a relationship with, or who you're married to, and then someone else, just in case. Someone else that's not going to affect the relationship of the two of you, right? So for me, when I get married, I will have one of my young relatives, as like a backup, just in case something's happened. Just in case something happens. So we're just gonna have to really clean up that circle of so-called friends, or that circle of influence, and that circle of and recognize that yes, our action and behavior does affect the people around us, consciously and unconsciously. All right, it is important about the company you keep. Okay, so if you can't, so with my page on the social media thing, I just open it up for everybody to come on in. Okay, come on in. But I made it clear that my page is about individuals' thoughts and opinions. Okay, I have that disclaimer there. Okay, where you can say whatever the hell you want, but you are responsible for what you say and do. Okay. I'm not going in there monitoring too much about what people are doing. That's my point. Okay, and I made that clear that was my intention in the beginning, is to open it up for creatives, the creative types. And then if I could help, I'll go in there and help and speak to people. When I say speak, post something. Okay, because it is about helping people. Okay, but I do not, and I make that very clear, have no control over what people say or do, but they're allowed to say whatever they want to. But none of these people on that, I have my family members on there. I have people that I don't even know on there. And I wanted to open it up like that for a reason. Okay, because I want to discover certain things about different personalities of people. So I made my intention known. My intention is to help with the evolution of consciousness and repairing cultures. All right? So this is an experiment for me, what I'm doing on the social media platform, because I have no idea what I'm doing. And I made that clear in the beginning as well. So that brings me to, like I said, with the sounds and how you come across and how you talk to people, and what your behavior and actions can do to affect, the group. And yes, we are all individually responsible for ourselves, no matter what. Okay, we can't blame anybody in our circle, anybody in our group, anybody in our stratosphere for how we behave and act and what we say or do. I can't do that. I have all walks of life on this page, okay? Pimps, prostitutes, writers, singers, all walks of life. And I like that, because I want to know what's going on. I really want to know what's going on. And I know a lot of the stuff on my social media platform is blocked. I know that. I know a lot of it is filtered. I can tell because I don't get certain content anymore. And I know it's because I don't have cable, I don't have streaming service. So I guess I'm no value to these entities to where I deserve to know what's going on in the world. Okay, and that's what's happening too. People are, it's been happening for decades upon decades, but it's more there's more evidence of how people want to control our narrative and control what we say or do. They have the power to do it now. Artificial intelligence. And so, as I said, some people are complaining about loneliness. Well, listen to this very carefully. If you think you're lonely now, just wait. Okay, so it's vital to get in touch with your reality and do whatever you can to change your reality, accept your reality. It's time for action. It was time for action decades, thousands of years ago. Let's go say 1,000,000 years ago. Whatever. It's irrelevant now because we're now at this point in our development where it's almost like we're free falling and spinning, but not really going anywhere. Free falling and spinning. Contradiction? Yes. Yes, it is. So, in light of things that had happened, over the last week or two, it's just been so very clear to me that I have to always own up to my responsibilities. I have to always own up to my accountability to myself. And if I can help others along the way, um, that's a bonus, really. But I'm always ultimately responsible for me and how I talk to people, how I react to people, how I interact with people, and how much damage I can cause from my words or for my expression. So it's important to, again, stay grounded in reality and know that you do affect people around you, whether it's in a negative or positive way. But the ultimate goal is to be neutralized and be balanced in all of that. And walk the talk. Walk the talk. And stop being in a delusion that it's somebody else. If these people weren't here, this wouldn't happen. If these people would do this, this wouldn't happen. If these people would just listen to, all this pointing outside of you. Okay? Chances are it's all I would say 99% of the time it's always been you, the one pointing and blaming other people. And looking for excuses all the time. And thinking you're perfect and that you are above everybody else. And all this fake persona. It's being exposed. That's why I'm laughing and thinking, my goodness. Because we all get warning signs about our behavior. We all do. And that's when, I told you about the tap and the information from the subconscious. All energy, by the way. That is undetectable, by the way. It's energy. But anyway, we'll leave that to the scientists to get over off of that and realize, they dropped the ball as well. With the how the planet is developing, and now they're sounding the alarms and acting as though they did not contribute to it as well, due to their complacency. So I will always do the best I can to take responsibility for my actions and behavior, and always know how I project myself towards people and how I can affect people. And at the same time, I will respect me, which means I'm going to respect others. It's a cause and effect. Okay? And I do look forward to, meeting people again. I do look forward to establishing a certain type of connection with people again. I know COVID was devastating for a lot of people, but it was also an opportunity missed by a lot of people as well. So, at any rate, I'm going to go ahead and send peace and love to everyone all over the world and over the stars, over the moon, in the mountains. And trust me, I'll be back.